Hey, what's up? This is You Had Me at Black. You're about to hear from Penn, who grew up in Oakland, California. About 11 years ago, he received a journalism fellowship to document the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March. Eager to be a part of history, Penn's trip didn't turn out as expected. This is a story about serendipity and seeking one thing out of an experience, but coming back with something totally different.
I want you to breathe all this in,
This is You Had Me at Black, the podcast where black millennials tell true life stories.
My story begins in 2005, and I was a student at Laney College, community college in downtown Oakland. Not really studying, like half going to school, half shooting dice and smoking with the homies. Doing journalism part-time, and I got word of this fellowship to go to DC and report on the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March. And I applied, got this fellowship, and bought tickets and decided to make it happen and go out there. I was saying, not only did I get the fellowship, my best friend Jesus L, he got the fellowship as well. And we get on the plane, and it's like coming through like a homecoming game for a football team. Like, we just know everybody on the rows of the plane. We're just high-fiving people. It's like Soul Plane or something in there. Like, it was tight to see that many black people that we know from the community in Oakland all on one trip. So knowing that I was a part of the 10th anniversary of something that was monumental, that felt like, oh, okay, I'm somebody important, and I'm reporting on it. I'm doing journalism. I'm documenting it. So that means that I have a role to play in this. I'm not just going as a spectator. So I really felt like a part of history. Even more so, getting on that plane and seeing the individuals who are like respected and have clout in the community, and knowing that I'm traveling across the country with them, it made me feel like, okay, yeah, like this is me getting beyond just being a junior college student. And you kind of felt this like camaraderie or a sense of community that was greater than just Oakland. I guess it was kind of the black diaspora, the African diaspora, like coming to life. When I got to DC, it was love from the onset. We made a beeline up to Howard, where I knew a couple of students from the West Coast who were attending Howard. And that night, man, we partied and stayed out till like 3, 4 in the morning. Ended up at like the 24-hour McDonald's, which is right across the street from Howard. I remember going up to this young, attractive young lady and just like trying to introduce myself, and her replying to me in French. And I was like, "You're black, but you speak French? What, they make that?" Like, we don't get that on the West Coast, you know? It's like, man, I love this place. It was fun. Zeus, the turf dancer, is like dancing everywhere. He's all in the clubs, you know? So get back to the hotel room, wake up the next day, go to the Million Man March, and it's not like what I thought it would be. It was just like completely underwhelming. And it felt like a real big exchange of money. And I was like, what's the real cause? Why are we really out here? Is this really just a money-making venture of some sort? I remember specifically, like, I'm out there in like a white t-shirt, and this dude tried to sell me a bow tie. And I was like, I'm not gonna put a bow tie on right now with this white tee, dude. Like, that just... I remember going up to the new Black Panther Party and just questioning them, like, what? There's a new Black Panther Party? I'm from the home of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. How do I not know about this new Black Panther Party? And they're like, oh, okay, you're from Oakland? Cool, we don't have a chapter there. Do you want to start one? And I was like, what? You don't even know me. Like, how are you going to allow or even approach me? Yeah, it left a sour taste in my mouth. I remember Wyclef performing, and that was pretty awesome to see Wyclef perform, and he performed in like 3 different languages. And he got down. I remember Jim Jones performing and him like cussing on stage, and I think he had to get his set cut early or something like that. Like, it wasn't the experience that I imagined it to be. Yes, it's a great sight to see that many people gathered peacefully of any sort, especially African American people. But also feeling like there is no action, there's no call to action aside from stimulating the economy. Maybe it had been overglorified in the movie Get on the Bus, or in the stories that I heard from people from the Million Man March 10 years prior, but it just didn't live up to all the hype that I had heard. And be it that it was the 10-year anniversary, maybe it had watered down or it changed a little bit from the initial gathering, and we ended up going back up to Howard, and I actually got to see Howard in the daytime. I remember seeing this gentleman in doctor scrubs, and he had gold grill, just solid gold grill, and long locks. He looked like Lil Jon as a doctor. And I was like, what, they make that? Like, that's possible to do, you know? And I had never seen that on the West Coast. Like, what? How could you really be from the hood and really be a doctor too? And so that that was the thing that really turned me on to Howard, both that interaction the night before with the young lady who spoke French and the parties and all that stuff, and then coming back the following day and seeing people just walk around the campus and look scholarly, like young black people look scholarly. And I just hadn't seen that. So the imagery of black people who look like people I would kick it with, walking around a campus with buildings named after black people that I've heard of, like looking scholarly and just the aesthetic of it. There's nothing like it on the West Coast that I've seen. And so that was the hook. And once you see something, then, or once you're attracted to something visually, like then you want to be a part of it in other aspects. I expected something in between the stories of Million Man March and the March on Washington. What I got was a big gathering, almost a family reunion. After the trip from DC, I came back to Oakland and I applied that very next week. I did early application. It's the only school I applied for. I only spent 1 year in community college, and it was all because at that point I knew exactly what I wanted to do. The kind of experience that we had there, and it poked a hole in that balloon that was believing that the Million Man March was something great and seeing it for myself. It was definitely deflating. I guess that's the best way to put it. And it called me to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, maybe mass gatherings aren't the answer to everything. Maybe it's a matter of me getting myself right as best I could, educated, and making sure I have ownership and I am empowered on my own behalf and work within a small group to evoke change. That might have been another reason why I focus more on the Howard aspect of it and seeing myself be transformed through going to Howard. Yeah, it definitely caused me to redirect my energy.
Thanks for listening to You Had Me at Black. Be sure to check out this episode's description for musical credits. And if you like what you just heard, head to youhadmeatblack.com/B-side to subscribe to our newsletter and unlock access to exclusive videos, behind-the-scenes interviews, and specially curated music. That's youhadmeatblack.com/B-side. Peace.